Before we get into the video, I need you guys to do me a favour. Number 1, like the video. Also comment, let me know your thoughts on the case. 29-year-old Akeem Francis Kerr, friends and family were said to have cried tears of joy and shouted after they were finally given justice. Edward Wilson was said to have went absolutely battish crazy in the Valesha nightclub in Walsall at roughly 5 AM on March 11th, 2023. CCTV saw Edward Wilson, who's 40 years old and frankly should have known better, smoking cannabis and also downing double shots of rum as he tapped his feet, listened to music and stood in a corner of a club for a whole hour. Now, Edward Wilson had secured his spot in the recess of the club from the moment he arrived at 4 AM. Just before 5 AM, Edward went to the toilet. When he returned, he saw Akeem Francis Kerr standing in the recess of the club talking to 2 women. That was Edward's spot. Now, because Akeem was in Edward's spot and talking to the woman, Edward was either jealous, angry, or felt disrespected. The 2 men exchanged words. Now, according to Edward Wilson, he says all he asked Akeem was to scoot out of the way so he could retrieve his drink. However, CCTV showed that the 2 men had exchanged words, and the stance that the 2 men had portrayed, that you could tell that there was animosity and there was a clear disagreement that took place. Instead of Akeem retreating, he held his ground, a scuffle ensued, and then it turned into a full brawl that lasted mere seconds. CCTV then showed Edward, who's from Temple Way in Oldbury, already had a blade stashed on his person, 1000% ready to use it in any altercation because he did. The blade was produced from his clothes, and then Edward Wilson had targeted Akeem's neck, purposefully stabbing him. It proved fatal. Now Akeem staggered and then collapsed. Clubbers, and including members of his own family, had tried to save Akeem's life, as then Edward Wilson had just exited the club and made his escape. Now, Edward Wilson was located at a flat in Sheffield. When he was interviewed after being detained, he denied that he had stabbed Akeem. Now, for the tragic end of Akeem Francis Kerr, Edward Wilson, a 40-year-old man who should have known better, was jailed for 22 years. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe.